In a quiet courtroom tucked away in Flagstaff, Arizona, a storm brews. Cameras are not allowed inside, but if one listens closely, he can almost hear the crackle of betrayal in the air. On one side stands Cody Brown, the once charismatic husband who swore unity would last forever. On the other, his wives, divided by loyalty and love and something darker. Voice shifts slightly lower, graver. The judge adjusts her glasses. The audience holds its breath, and Christine, so calm, so poised, yet visibly trembling, takes the stand. She's about to expose what she claims is a decade of manipulation, secret funds, and emotional coercion, the side of plural marriage no camera ever dared to show. The courtroom clock ticks. Robin won't meet her eyes. Janelle clutches her necklace like it's a lifeline. And Cody? He stares straight ahead, expressionless. No one in that room knows what's about to come next. Stronger tone, building tension. They once called themselves a modern family. 4 wives, 1 husband, and a dream of harmony that spanned decades. But dreams fade, and when cameras left, the real battles began. Christine remembers the first letter, a folded white envelope slipped under her door one icy morning. Inside, a subpoena. State of Arizona versus Cody Brown. Her heart sank before she even read the charge. Fraud, misrepresentation, property division, not just a lawsuit, a reckoning. The family compound at Cedar Creek had always been Cody's pride. 4 identical homes built around a shared courtyard where children once played barefoot in the sun. Now, those homes stood cold and divided. Gone was the laughter. Instead, silence reigned, punctuated by whispered phone calls to lawyers. Voice lowers, slow, reflective. That's when the courtroom became their new home, and truth was the currency. Your Honor, she began, my client contributed to every part of that family's success. The businesses, the TV deals, the land purchases. Yet, when she left, she was offered nothing, not even the right to her own home. It's not about money, he said firmly. This is a marriage of faith, and a woman who broke her covenant. Tension builds, narrator's tone sharper. Christine's eyes burned. Her voice was steady when she spoke, but full of ache. You could hear a pin drop. The first day of testimony was brutal. Years of secrets spilled across the courtroom like spilt ink. Bank transfers, investment documents, private messages, all revealing a tangled web of shared finances that were anything but equal. Tone lowers to suspenseful whisper. As the court recessed for lunch, Janelle pulled Christine aside. He's not going to let this go quietly, she warned. I know, Christine replied, but he's not the only one with receipts. Music cue, heartbeat slow, ominous. Later that afternoon, something unexpected happened. Porter, Cody's lawyer, introduced a motion to dismiss based on religious immunity. He said that the plural marriage arrangement was spiritual, not legal, and thus outside the court's authority. The judge sighed, massaging her temples. We'll hear arguments tomorrow morning, she said. Court adjourned. And as Christine walked toward the courthouse steps, the winter wind cut through her coat like a blade. Cameras flashed, questions flew, but she kept her eyes straight ahead. He loved the attention, always had. But in that smile, Christine saw something else. Fear. Soft, emotional tone. She knew him better than anyone, and he wasn't smiling because he'd won. He was smiling because he'd just realized he might lose. As the courthouse doors closed behind her, Christine whispered under her breath, "This is only the beginning." Suspenseful fade out, slow heartbeat sound, distant echo of a gavel, because tomorrow's testimony would expose something none of them were ready for. Opening tone, quiet, tense, slow piano music fades in. Day 2 of the trial opens on a sort of silence that is unnatural, as if the entire courtroom knows something is indeed coming. The air is cold, but the tension is hot enough to burn. Christine sits at the plaintiff's table, her hands folded tight, eyes fixed on the door. She's waiting for someone, her witness. Cody turns to her, his smirk thin and rehearsed. Robin whispers something in his ear, and he nods slowly. Cameras aren't allowed inside, but if they were, the world would see what Christine sees. A man who built his life on charm and control, now hiding behind both. The bailiff opens the door. All rise. The judge enters, and the day begins. Dana Lee, Christine's attorney, stands up. Her voice is soft, but the sort that can cut through steel. Your Honor, the plaintiff would like to call her next witness, someone who was part of the family and can speak directly to the financial misconduct. But when the door opens again, it's neither. Robin's sister is Aurora. The color drains from Cody's face. Robin freezes, lips parting in shock. Aurora walks to the stand, her hands trembling slightly as she swears in. She doesn't look at Robin, doesn't look at Cody, only Christine. Voice softens, suspense rising. Miss Sullivan, Dana begins, how long have you known the defendant? And in those 15 years, were you ever made aware of how family funds were dispersed? Yes, Aurora says finally. I was the one who helped with the transfers. Gasps echo across the gallery, and even the judge leans forward. Donna steps closer. Can you clarify what transfers? Aurora nods, her voice cracking. Cody had me open accounts in my name, accounts where he funneled money from the family business. He said it was temporary for tax reasons, but that money never went back. Robin shakes her head, whispering, That's not true. The evidence appears on the screen emails, signatures, wire receipts. Each slide hits like a bullet. Cody's attorney objects, but the damage is done. The jury and the room have seen enough to doubt him. Robin jumps up suddenly, tears streaming down her face. You don't understand, she cries out. He did it for us and for all of us. The judge bangs her gavel. Mrs. Brown, please sit down. But Robin can't stop. Her words hang there, heavy, unanswered. Cody reaches for her hand, but she pulls away, and for the first time in years, he looks small. During the recess, whispers fill the courthouse halls. Journalists furiously type, tweets fly, and in one corner, Janelle and Mary exchange a long, silent look, something unspoken passing between them. Finally, Mary utters, She wasn't lying. I remember those meetings. Janelle nods. Then it's time we stop protecting him. They step out of the shadows together. Tone builds, determination rising like a storm. Back inside, court resumes. Cody's lawyer tries to regain control. The witness is confused. Those accounts were transparent and all parties agreed. But Dana just smiles, the kind of smile that means she's holding a royal flush. She pulls out a single folder marked Property Deed, Cedar Creek Lot 4. The judge nods, signaling her to continue. This is the title for the largest home on Cedar Creek, in Mr. Brown's name alone, purchased 6 months after Christine's name was removed from the business filings. Care to explain the timing, Mr. Brown? Cody stiffens. His jaw locks. The judge catches it too. By Robin, he says finally. Tone drops, quiet aftermath. But as her gaze turns to Robin, her sister wife, once her friend, she doesn't feel triumph, only sorrow. Because this wasn't just a trial about money. It was about every silent dinner, every forced smile, every dream that had turned to dust under one man's name. As the judge calls for a 10-minute break, the camera of imagination pulls back to show 4 lives built around one promise, now shattered across a courtroom floor. He taught us to share everything, even our pain. When the third day of the trial dawns, the courthouse feels different, heavier, the kind of morning where the light doesn't quite reach the corners. Clara Callister stands outside beneath a slate-gray sky, her gloved hands clutching a thermos she hasn't touched. She can hear the faint echo of church bells in the distance. Ironic, she thinks, for a family built on faith to meet its reckoning inside a courthouse. The bailiff calls order. The trial resumes. Clara's attorney, Dana Lee, steps forward. Her tone is calm but fierce. Your Honor, today we call Naomi Callister to the stand. Dana starts off softly. Naomi, how long have you been married to Mr. Callister? 16 years, Naomi answers. And during that time, were you aware of any separate financial accounts kept in your husband's name only? Naomi looks sideways at Jonas. His eyes beseech silently. Don't. Yes, she says. A ripple sweeps through the courtroom. Dana leans forward. Please explain. Jonas slams his fist on the table. That's a lie. Naomi doesn't flinch. He told me if I ever spoke, the community would shun me, that our children would suffer. Her voice trembles. I believed him. Dana hands the judge a stack of copied ledgers, pages full of Jonas's handwriting, numbers circled, notes scribbled, keep off record. Tone deepens. Introspective. Lena watches from the gallery, tears streaking her face. She remembers the nights Naomi spoke in whispers about money missing from the grocery fund, about Onus's sudden new truck. She'd believed the excuses. Now she sees them for what they were, smoke hiding a fire. At recess, Rachel slips out into the hall. She's shaking, breathing hard. Clara follows her. Rachel, wait. Scared of what? Clara asks softly. Jonas clears his throat. It wasn't relevant. For the first time, his confidence cracks completely. He rubs his temples, eyes darting toward Rachel, who can't meet his gaze. For the first time since she left him, Clara feels a pang of something else. Pity. Beneath all the control, Jonas looks like a man watching his own kingdom crumble. But pity doesn't erase pain. Dana steps closer toward the jury box. For years, this man convinced his wives to believe in unity while hiding their own worth from them. He built a brand on family and cashed in alone. Jonas is lawyer objects again, but the judge waves him down. Then comes the moment nobody expects. The judge turns to Jonas. Mr. Callister, do you wish to testify? The room freezes. He hesitates, then stands. Yes. Tone shifts. Quieter, almost confessional. Jonas mounts the witness stand, his eyes hollow. I didn't steal. I just tried to protect what we built. You think people wouldn't come for us? We were different. I needed control to keep us safe. Clara whispers under her breath, You mean to keep us small? He goes on, his voice cracking. They all wanted to leave. I was trying to save our family. Clara frowns. Rachel, what did you do? Rachel's face crumples. He made me sign it too. The second contract, the one about custody. Clara's breath catches. Custody? Rachel nods, tears spilling. He planned to take the children, move out of state before the verdict. Said if the money went wrong, we'd disappear. Dana hears about it in a matter of minutes. She files an emergency motion to introduce the new document. The judge grants it. Tomorrow morning, they'll hear evidence about the supposed custody plan. As everyone files out, Naomi reaches for Clara's hand. You ready for what comes next? Clara squeezes back. I've been ready for years. Outside, news cameras wait. Snow drifts gently, melting on Clara's coat as she steps down the stairs from the courthouse. Reporters shout their questions, but she doesn't answer. Her voice belongs in that courtroom now. Tomorrow decides everything. The children, the money, the truth. Somewhere inside, Jonas knows this. The family he tried to own is finally reclaiming itself. Day 4. The courthouse is a pressure cooker. Outside, reporters huddle under umbrellas, sending up great plumes of vapor as the cold bites at their breath. Inside, the air vibrates with whispered conversations. Everybody knows this is custody hearing day. Clara Callister smooths her jacket, her fingers quivering on the lapel. She tells herself she's ready, but her knees go weak, thinking about her kids becoming bargaining chips. Naomi and Lena sit behind her for support. Rachel sits to the side, her eyes fixed on the floor. Tone softens, empathetic. Rachel's voice is small. Jonas made me sign it 6 months ago. He said it was a backup custody agreement in case the family broke apart. Dana's head tilts. Did you read it? She opens a folder, her hand shaking, holds up a single page. It says, if the court ever divided our assets, full custody of all minor children defaults to him, not me, not any of us, him. Maybe, Dana cuts in, but it shows intent. Rachel's tears spill. He said, if I didn't sign, he'd make sure the others lost everything. I thought I was protecting them. Reporters fill the hall. Rachel sinks onto a bench, dissolving into sobs behind her hands. Clara sits down beside her, saying nothing for a long while. Then she says softly, you were just doing what we all did, surviving him. Night falls. Snow thickens outside the courthouse lights. A janitor mops the marble floors while reporters rehearse their live shots. In a corner, Dana reviews papers with Clara. We've got enough to prove coercion, Dana says. If the judge accepts it, the custody clause dies with it. Clara nods slowly. And Jonas, Dana sighs. He'll fight to the end. Men like that always do. Tone rises again, tense but hopeful. Morning, day 5. Rachel comes back into court in gray. No makeup, no jewelry, just the truth. She takes the stand once more, this time without shaking. Donna asks, Rachel, did Jonas ever threaten you? Rachel closes her eyes. Not with words, with silence. He'd stopped talking to me for weeks, wouldn't look at me, wouldn't let the kids near me. He said God was disappointed in me. That's worse than yelling. The room is silent, except for the humming of the lights overhead. Even Jonas looks away. The judge speaks softly. Mrs. Callister, thank you. You may step down. Rachel nods, and as she passes Clara, their hands brush, a silent truce. Dana turns to the judge. Your Honor, we rest our case. Jonas's attorney stands slowly. The defense will call Mr. Callister one final time. Tone shifts. Anticipation. Jonas walks to the stand. His voice is hoarse. They think I'm a monster. Maybe I am. But I built that family from nothing. I gave them a home, food, faith, and when it all turned against me, I just wanted control back. He swallows hard. Control was all I had left. Dana's last question falls softly. Was it love, Jonas, or ownership? He says nothing. Silence speaks it all. The judge calls adjournment until tomorrow, the day of the verdict. Cameras flash as everyone leaves. Snow drifts through the doorway, melting upon the tile-like tears that never had time to fall. Outside, Clara stops to take a breath of cold air. She gazes up at the dome of the courthouse and says softly, "For the first time, we are free." Voice slow, fading away like music. But freedom comes with its own storm, and tomorrow, when that verdict is read, not everyone will walk away whole. Tone, still morning air, low piano, voice steady yet carrying tension. Something feels different on the 5th day of the trial. The crowd is larger outside, the air sharper, like the town itself knows something final is coming. Clara Callister stands at the courthouse doors and watches her breath cloud in the cold. Beside her, Naomi adjusts her scarf. Clara exhales. Not really, but it's time. Inside, the courtroom is buzzing with nervous energy. The judge enters without saying a word. The gavel cracks once. Everyone rises, then sits. Papers shuffle, reporters lean forward. Clerk. State of Arizona, Family Division, Callister vs. Callister. Judgment as to property and custody. Jonas Callister stares straight ahead, his eyes bloodshot, his tie crooked, his jaw taut, bracing for an impact he can't see coming. The judge clears her throat. This court finds the financial evidence sufficient to establish concealment of joint assets. The court divides all properties, including the Cedar Glen compound, equally between the plaintiffs. In addition, the custody clause signed under coercion is hereby declared null. Custody of all minor children is to be shared jointly, pending mediation. The room erupts in gasps. Clara closes her eyes, her hand over her mouth. Naomi squeezes her arm. Lena starts to cry softly. Even Rachel lets out a sound somewhere between a sob and a laugh. Jonas doesn't move. The room is loud for the first time in Jonas's life, louder than his voice. Reporters run out to call their networks. The judge strikes the gavel once more. Court is adjourned. Jonas rises slowly. He looks over to his wives. No, his ex-wives, as if he's never seen them before. Clara looks back at him, not with anger, but something softer. Pity. He starts to speak, but stops. Words are useless now. Tone softens, reflective. Outside, snow falls heavier. Flashbulbs pop. Clara steps to the microphones, not to gloat, but to finish the story. "We didn't come here to win," she says. "We came here to be heard." Naomi stands beside her. "People think families like ours fall apart because of jealousy, but it's silence that kills us. Silence and secrets." Rachel takes a shaky breath. Her voice trembles, but is sheer. "We were told obedience was peace. Turns out peace is telling the truth, even when it costs everything." The crowd falls silent. For one moment, even the cameras appear to pause, undecided whether they are documenting a tragedy or a rebirth. Later that evening, the 4 women meet at a diner off the highway. No makeup, no lawyers, just steaming mugs of coffee and exhausted laughter. Lena raises her cup. "To the rest of our lives," whatever that means. They clink mugs softly. Tone deepens, introspective. Across town, Jonas sits alone in his pickup. The courthouse lights fade behind him. He turns the key, but the engine doesn't start. For a long moment, he just stares at his reflection in the windshield, the man who tried to own love and ended up alone with it. He whispers, "They were right," then drives into the snow. Weeks later, papers are finalized. The compound sells. Each woman buys a small home of her own. She plants flowers in front of hers, yellow ones, the kind Jonas always hated. Rachel finishes her nursing degree. Lena begins her book, which she titles The Divided House. Clara is alone in a small scene toward the end of the movie, visiting the courthouse. She walks down the halls, her footsteps echoing in the emptiness. She pins a folded note to a bulletin board. "For anyone scared to speak, it's never too late." She turns, sunlight spilling across the marble, and for the first time, she has smiled without any guilt. As she steps into the cold, the heavy snow now falls softly on her shoulders, evidence that even the quietest of storms must come to an end. Tone, calm, reflective piano, soft narration, the sound of a world healing but still haunted. 6 months have passed since the verdict. The headlines have faded, the cameras moved on, and life, or something like it, has started again for the Callister women. Her phone buzzes. It's Naomi. Community meeting tonight, 7 p.m. Don't forget, they're naming the news center. Clara smiles. Wouldn't miss it. She replaces the receiver and looks around the half-painted living room. For the first time in years, the silence feels safe. But in this family, peace is never simple. Across town, Rachel sorts the mail and finds a brown envelope with no return address. Inside, a single photograph. But that's impossible. The property's been sold for months. Her pulse spikes. She calls Clara. Someone's been there, Rachel says. Clara frowns. Maybe squatters? No, I saw him. Him? Rachel hesitates. Jonas. Silence stretches between them. Clara laughs uncomfortably. Rachel, that's not funny. I'm not joking. Look at the picture I sent. Clara opens her phone. There, faint but visible, a silhouette in the window. Broad, shoulders, a familiar stance, the same way he used to stand, waiting for her to come and apologize for things that weren't her fault. Tone tightens, footsteps, door creaks, investigative tension builds. That night, Clara drives out to Cedar Glen. The for sale sign still leans against the mailbox. The gate hangs open. On it, a coffee mug, fresh, steam rising, her breath catches, then she hears it, the slow creak of footsteps upstairs. Hello, her voice cracks. Jonas. Silence. She climbs one step at a time, a door half open at the top of the stairs. She pushes gently. An empty room. Only the curtain flapping in the cold wind. A will, dated 2 weeks ago, signed Jonas Callister. This can't be real, Clara says. He's alive and he's doing something. Dana frowns. The will doesn't make sense. He had no property left. Clara shows her the papers. Dana's face darkens. This clause, it names you as executor and Naomi's children as secondary beneficiaries. He's pulling you back into this legally. Dana slowly exhales. Because if the will stands, it reopens the case. He can challenge the division. He's setting you up for another fight. Clara leans back, her head shaking. He's not done with us. That evening, the women are back together. Naomi is exhausted looking, Lena terrified, and Rachel still clutching the photo. Naomi says softly, I won't go through it again. Clara takes her hand. We'll face it together, just like before. Rachel swallows hard. And if he comes after us? Clara looks at the table. Then we stop hiding. They sit in silence, old wounds stirring. Outside, the thunder rolls again, this time, for real. Jonas, she says. The line goes dead. Her hand shakes as she puts the phone down. That night, the rain gets violent. Lightning flashes across the valley. Clara looks out her window and sees headlights pulling into her driveway, a dark truck. Familiar. She freezes, heartbeat roaring in her ears. The engine idles for 1 long minute, then shuts off. The door opens. A shadow steps out, tall and still. Clara whispers, Jonas. The screen fades to black. It's past midnight. Clara sits motionless at her window, eyes locked on the shadow outside. The truck hasn't moved. Neither has the man. Every instinct is telling her to call the police, but fear paralyzes reason in strange ways. Instead, she reaches for her phone and hits record on the voice memo app. If something happens tonight, tell them Jonas came back. The headlights flicker once and then the door opens. A figure steps out, umbrella in hand, face hidden by the storm. Clara grasps the doorknob. The wind whistles through the cracks in the old porch. Then 3 slow knocks. Knock, knock, knock. Clara, please, a voice calls. We need to talk. Her breath catches. It's him. She opens the door halfway. Jonas stands there, drenched, older, haunted. His eyes are nothing like what she remembers, like eyes belonging to a person who has seen the end and walked back from it. Instead of answering immediately, he takes out a folded piece of paper from his jacket. I didn't pretend anything. I just needed some time. He says softly, I'm dying. Clara blinks, unsure if it is manipulation or the truth. You expect me to believe that? He looks away. You'll see. The will wasn't a trap. It was a warning. Rain hisses between them. She steps back, torn by the conflict of instinct and memory. Jonas places the paper on her porch and is gone. The truck disappears into the night. Clara unfolds it. A medical report. Late-stage cancer. Prognosis, months. The women meet again the next morning, and the atmosphere is thick with incredulity. Naomi reads the report. You think it's real? Rachel frowns. Could be another trick. Lena whispers, what if it's not? Clara sighs. Either way, he came back for a reason. They decide to visit the hospice listed on the paper, a small clinic in Mesa. When they arrive, the nurse hesitates but finally nods. Room 212. He's been here 3 weeks. Keeps asking if his family's coming. Family. The word feels like salt on an open wound. Clara steps inside the dimly lit room. Jonas lies pale, thinner than she had remembered. Machines hum softly beside him. He opens his eyes and smiles faintly. You came. She stands still. You left us with scars and lawsuits, Jonas. Why now? He coughs. Because I finally realized that I built a family out of obedience, not love. He continues, voice rasping. After the trial, I tried to start over. I thought money could buy me peace, but it just bought more silence. When the doctor told me I had months left, all I could think of was you and what I'd done. Jonas nods. I'm not asking just to tell you the truth before I'm gone. He gestures to a small box on the table. Everything you never knew. Bank records, letters, the proof that what you fought for was bigger than you realized. Clara hesitates, then opens the box. Inside, a USB drive and a stack of handwritten pages. The first says, Cedar Glen Project, confidential accounts. Her stomach turns. Jonas. What did you do? His breathing weakens. The land wasn't just ours. There were investors. Money from people you'd never want to owe. The next day, their lawyer Dana plugs the USB into her laptop. On the screen, financial transfers, offshore accounts, and one name that freezes the room. Wells Foundation, a shell company connected to several criminal investigations. Dana mutters, He was laundering money through your family's property. Naomi gasps, So now what? Dana looks grim. Now it's not just a family matter, it's federal. Clara sinks into a chair. He brought us back into danger. Rachel says softly, He said it was a warning. Maybe someone else is coming. Outside, a black SUV slows as it passes their lawyer's office. Tinted windows, no plates. That night, Clara sits by herself once more, rereading Jonas's letter. On the bottom of the last page, one line jumps out at her, written in shaking handwriting. If you're reading this, it means they found out I talked. Her eyes widen. The phone rings. It's the clinic. Mrs. Callister, I'm so sorry. Jonas was found unresponsive an hour ago. Clara drops the phone, and far away the thunder rolls once more, as if another storm is coming. Morning light filters through Clara's kitchen blinds, coffee steams untouched on the counter. The words from Jonas's final letter echo in her mind. If you're reading this, that means they found out I talked. She hasn't slept. Every sound outside makes her flinch. Every engine on the street, every creak in the floorboards. The peace she fought for feels fragile now, like thin glass over a rising tide. The others are en route. Naomi, Rachel, and Lena. The same women who once shared her home, her husband, and her heartbreak. When they arrive, nobody says good morning. They are seated in silence until Clara speaks. She finally says, Jonas wasn't lying. The USB connects Cedar Glen to a criminal network fraud, offshore laundering, all hidden behind religious donations. Rachel's voice is trembling. So what do we do? Clara looks up. We finish what he started, but we do it the right way. They call Dana again, and she arranges a meeting with the state attorney. The office is colder than any courtroom they have ever stood in before. Miles Green listens quietly as Clara places the USB on the desk. This contains financial data that ties our former husband, Jonas Callister, to the Wells Foundation and several shell accounts. Green flips through the documents. You realize what this means? These are active federal investigations. If you hand this over, you're stepping back into a fire. The decision is made. Green agrees to coordinate protection. But as they leave, he adds softly, You might not be the only ones who know. Outside, it's too quiet in the parking lot. A black SUV idles across the street, same one as before. That night, the women gather again. No cameras, no microphones, no judges. Just them. Naomi's hands tremble as she pours tea. Do you ever think he did all this because he believed it was the only way to keep control? Clara sighs. Maybe. But power built on fear always collapses, eventually. Lena whispers, and we were the collateral. Clara takes her hand. Not anymore. Rachel leans back, her eyes glassy. You think people will believe us this time? Clara smiles faintly. They don't need to. We have the evidence. The truth doesn't need approval. Hours pass, and then the power cuts out. The house goes dark, a soft hum outside, engine running. Clara reaches for her phone, its flashlight shaking as she approaches the window. And there's that black SUV again, its headlights off, but most definitely there. Then a sound from the porch, a soft scrape as though somebody was sliding a letter under the door. Rachel whispers, "Don't open it," but Clara already has. Inside the envelope, one flash drive and a typed note. Finish what he couldn't. Her heartbeat pounds in her ears. He wasn't alone, she says. Someone else was working with him. The next morning, Dana looks at the new drive. It's encrypted, high-level, military grade. Clara frowns. Can you open it? Dana hesitates. Not safely. But if we bring it to the feds, they'll take over. Naomi steps forward. Do it. Let them see everything. When it arrives in Green's office, federal agents descend within hours. By evening, the news breaks. Massive fraud network linked to religious properties across multiple states uncovered. The women watch the broadcast in stunned silence. Names flash on screen. Pastors, investors, politicians. But one name is noticeably absent. Jonas Callister's. Rachel mutters, "They erased him." The tone softens. Aftermath, emotional closure. Weeks later, subpoenas are issued. The investigation expands. But the women, this time, are witnesses, not defendants. Naomi's center receives national funding for aiding women in closed communities. Rachel finishes her nursing work and moves closer to her kids. And Clara? She testifies one final time, not against Jonas, but for the women who never got to speak. In front of the court, she looks straight into the camera and says, "No law can protect what fear still owns, but courage can change what's left behind." Her words echo across every outlet that once called them a scandal. Months later, Clara visits the Cedar Glen site one last time. The compound is gone, bulldozed flat. It's just a wide field under the setting sun. She stands there, quiet as the wind tosses her hair, and says in a whisper, "You no longer own me." Far away, the soft sound of church bells, not haunting this time, but peaceful. She smiles, walks away. The camera lingers on the empty land, a place once built on silence, now finally quiet for the right reasons.